Iceland is full of spectacular beauty.
Wait! It's also a mythical science adventurer's dream. And we went there and have been so excited to tell you all that we learned and saw. Okay, sorry, back to the video.
What do we have here, Kai?
We got volcanoes, we got mountains, we got ice, we got snow, we got glaciers, we got all the amazing stuff.
It's fantastic, but right in the center of the island is a place like it's out of a fairy tale, the Kerlingarfjöll mountain range. It is one of the hottest geothermal areas in all of Iceland.
Seriously, the ancient volcano here powers one of the largest high-temperature geothermal areas in a country full of geothermal features. There's a lot happening below and above ground.
You also have a kind of mythical history we need to talk about, right, Kai?
Yeah, you mean hot springs and trolls?
I mean hot springs and trolls.
Let's go!
This is Iceland at its geothermal best here. Magma deep in the mountain core is fueling these geothermal features, and it's making the mountains here almost look like they're floating in a sea of steam. It's incredibly beautiful.
This mountain's name means Old Lady Mountain or Troll Lady Mountain, which is rooted in Icelandic folklore. But before we get to that troll magic, we need to talk about the real magic here, geothermal features.
Can you see me? My glasses are all fogged up from the steam from this fumarole. This is why it's important to stay on the trail here when you are hiking, and of course anywhere where there's geothermal activity. You never know exactly what lies beneath the surface. There could be boiling hot water right beneath your feet, and you do not want to accidentally step in it. If you want a hot soak, the hot springs near the mountain hut are a nice, comfy 34 to 37 degrees Celsius, and I think that's where we're headed next.
So what makes this place so special? Well, like so many things in Iceland, it all starts with a volcano, an ancient one that covers an area of 140 square kilometers.
The Kerlingarfjöll Mountains formed from volcanic eruptions that occurred about 10,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age. Now, those eruptions all took place underneath the glaciers that were here at the time, and the eruptions were rhyolitic. That's why the rock you see in the mountains behind me is this reddish-brown color.
In fact, this is one of the largest rhyolite areas in Iceland, second only to the very popular Rainbow Mountain of Landmannajökull.
Rhyolitic eruptions are usually very explosive, very dramatic, but all of that was taking place and these mountains were being built up under the glaciers that existed at that time.
How does a volcano even explode under a glacier?
Oh, we're gonna talk about that in our next video. Spoilers, it's crazy intense.
You can see that there are still glaciers here today, although they have receded significantly. In fact, this area used to be a very popular summer ski resort that had to close because the summer snowmelt was too significant to maintain it over time.
Underneath these glaciers and mountains of rhyolite, deep within the mountain's core, shallow magma chambers and intrusions of hardening magma fuel this steamy surface.
The heat generated here also helps paint the area various shades of green, red, and yellow from the minerals and microorganisms associated with geothermal activity reminiscent of Landmannajökull. There are 3 main geothermal areas in Kerlingarfjöll, and since we've discovered we are terrible at speaking Icelandic, we're just gonna list them for you right here.
The most famous of these geothermal areas is Hveradalir. It's Hveradalir. Something like that.
I really tried. Sorry.
She's just not that good at speaking Icelandic.
It is one of, if not the most famous geothermal area in all of Iceland. The geothermal energy here is intense. You see it bubbling and steaming in fumaroles and mud pots. You can hear it crackling under the earth. The hottest temperature recorded in Iceland in the earth is about 150 degrees Celsius, and it was recorded not that far from here. So these features are spectacularly hot. This is not one of the areas that you can swim in or bathe in here, but there are 2 other areas that you can bathe in. Hveradalir is about 4 or 5 kilometers from the Highland base camp, and you can hike here or you can drive here in a 4x4 and then hike the area. For those of you who need to soothe your aching bones after your hike, one of the 2 hot springs where you can soak is not far from the base camp, and we're going to head there next, I think, because I hear the water is full of iron to help soothe and heal our tired bodies.
It's so sticky!
Many rocks underground contain sulfur mineral deposits, especially those previously exposed to volcanic gas. That sulfur dissolves well in the hot water deep under the earth, and as it rises above ground, it cools, releasing the gas into the air.
So here's the thing about Kerlingarfjöll. Spectacularly beautiful. Seeing the power of geothermal energy here is unlike anything I've ever seen anywhere. And the beautiful rhyolite mountains, the multiple colors on the hillsides, gorgeous. Not that easy to get to though.
Yeah. It's the most remote region in all of Iceland and among the largest uninhabited wilderness region of all Europe. We drove almost 3 bumpy hours one way to show you all these geothermal wonders. But it was totally worth it.
Yeah.
Right now, we need to warn you about the trolls.
Yeah, you need to know. Kerlingarfjöll is historically considered to be an unfriendly place full of outlaws and trolls. Curling is actually a derogatory term in Icelandic for an old woman or an old troll lady. Legend has it that an old, ugly female troll wandered these hills one night.
Hey, we're going to talk about that, young man.
Sorry.
And stayed out far too late until sunrise and was turned into stone, as trolls are when they are out in the sun. She was turned into a 25-meter tower, which you can see in the valley still today. Curling is a term you'll hear used with many different Icelandic rocks throughout the island, and every single one of those rocks is a troll. So watch out, okay?
And I think we should go back to the car. I don't want to get hunted by trolls.
All right, we're out of here.
You know, we never really made it to the hot springs for a soak, did we?
We didn't. Maybe next video.
Next